So, friends, Donald Trump just said that regarding the man he wrongfully deported to El Salvador, Abrego Garcia, Trump said that he can bring Abrego back from El Salvador, but he won't. So make no mistake about it, friends. This is Donald Trump telling the Supreme Court that he will not obey their orders, their rulings, or their directives. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, this might sound strange coming from a lifelong rule of law guy, but I'm actually glad Donald Trump is beginning to openly defy the Supreme Court, because I strongly suspect that this will hasten Donald Trump's political demise and seal his fate. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's start with the new reporting. This from the New York Times. Headline: Trump says he could free Abrego Garcia from El Salvador, but won't. Trump's comments undermined previous statements by his top aides and by his DOJ lawyers in court. That's what's most important, and friends, please put a pin in that. And Trump's comments were a blunt sign of his administration's intention to double down and defy the courts. And that article begins, President Trump, whose administration has insisted it could not bring Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia back from El Salvador to the United States, said he does have the ability to help return the wrongly deported Maryland man, but is not willing to do so because he believes he's a gang member. This quote from a reporter: "You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk," said Terry Moran, an ABC News correspondent, noting a Supreme Court order to facilitate the release of Mr. Abrego Garcia. "I could," Mr. Trump replied. Mr. Moran said Mr. Trump could call President Bukele of El Salvador and get Mr. Abrego Garcia back immediately. Quote, "And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that," Mr. Trump said, but he is not. Trump added that government lawyers do not want to help bring Mr. Abrego Garcia back to the United States. Mr. Trump's comments not only undermined previous statements by his top aides, but were a blunt sign of his administration's intention to double down and defy the courts. Before the interview with ABC News, the administration had dug in on its refusal to heed the Supreme Court order to help return Abrego Garcia, who is a Salvadoran migrant. Trump officials have said that because he was now in a Salvadoran prison, it was up to the Salvadoran government to release him. The Justice Department has argued that it can respond to the Supreme Court's demand that the administration facilitate Abrego Garcia's release by doing little more than letting him enter if he manages to present himself at a port of entry. And this quote from Donald Trump's consigliere, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Yes, my editorial edition. Quote, "That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him," Attorney General Pam Bondi said during an Oval Office meeting between Trump and Bukele this month. Quote, "That's not up to us." But Mr. Trump appeared to acknowledge during his interview with ABC News that he did have the power to help bring Abrego Garcia back to the United States. Okay, friends, a few takeaways from this development. For once, Donald Trump spoke the obvious, unassailable truth. Of course he can bring Abrego Garcia back from El Salvador. And by speaking that obvious truth, he exposed Pam Bondi as a liar. And by speaking that obvious truth, he exposed the DOJ lawyers as liars when they put into legal pleadings that they filed with the court that the government can't bring Abrego Garcia back. He is now in the custody and control of a sovereign nation, El Salvador. Oh, please. And the plain and obvious truth spoken by Donald Trump saying, of course I can bring Garcia back from El Salvador, that will now become a central, admissible piece of evidence in the Abrego Garcia litigation. And for those of you scoring at home, it's Federal Rule of Evidence 801D2, statements of a party opponent. But friends, let's finish with this takeaway. A few minutes ago, I said that Trump's open defiance of Supreme Court orders will hasten his political demise and ultimately seal his fate. Here's why I say that. By saying that the Supreme Court told me to do it, I can do it, but I won't do it. By taking that position, Donald Trump is announcing that he will try to end our constitutional construct of government. He's announcing himself as a lawless president who will not abide by the Constitution. And friends, in my opinion, that will make it easier for ultimately the military to do what it will have to do. Stay with me here. Eventually, now that Donald Trump has said he doesn't give a rat's ass about the Constitution, he will assert himself as a dictator. He will not abide by Supreme Court orders, rulings, edicts, mandates, directives, which a president must abide by given our constitutional construct of government. In order to stay in power moving forward, ultimately, Donald Trump will have to give the military unlawful orders to help him retain power. And by announcing that he will not abide by the Constitution, that will make the military's job easier, in my opinion, in their responsibility, indeed their sworn duty, to disobey unlawful orders. Friends, when I was active duty Army, when I was a JAG officer, first when I went to officer basic training, it was drilled into our heads that yes, you must obey lawful orders, but more importantly, you must disobey unlawful orders. After that, after I got my law degree and I passed the bar exam, the Army sent me to the Army's JAG school on the campus of the University of Virginia, and then I learned how to be an Army lawyer, and we had it reinforced and reaffirmed and drilled into our heads again. You must disobey unlawful orders. And now that Donald Trump has announced that he intends to be a dictator, an autocrat, he will not abide by the Constitution of the United States. He will defy Supreme Court orders. He's acting lawlessly and unconstitutionally. And so if he begins directing the military to do things to keep him in power, it will make their job much easier. Disobey unlawful orders. So friends, we'll leave it there, but let's finish with this. Donald Trump's power is diminishing, receding. He's not getting stronger, he's getting weaker. And yes, he's trying to rule over the American people by instilling fear and intimidation, by acting lawlessly and unconstitutionally. But I don't believe for a minute this is sustainable. And I don't believe for a minute that he will become the dictator he so desperately wants to be. No, he will fail and he will fall. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.